What's the best foldable keyboard for the iPad?
Today, we're going to find out. Stay tuned.
Today, we're going to look at foldable keyboards for the iPad or iPhone.
Now, the natural question you may ask is why not go with the Apple keyboard?
Well, it's simple. We were looking for an ergonomic and portable design for our iPad that we use to edit videos and photos and draw, and we wanted something that was easy to carry in our backpacks or purse, and that would allow us to place our iPad at eye level and a keyboard at a comfortable height for our hands.
That's very important for me this year because I'm trying to work on my posture, and having a keyboard that allows me to have the keyboard, or rather have the iPad at basically eye level, maybe on a windowsill or something like that, or a stack of books, and having the keyboard on the bottom where I can sit up straight and just type on it makes a lot of difference for my back. And also, since you don't use the keyboard all the time, when you buy the Apple keyboard, you attach it to the back flap of your iPad and then it flaps back. And you're just using it to watch Netflix or something like that. You have all these keys in the back that are mushy and just doesn't feel very well. It just feels wrong somehow to be pressing the keys while you're holding the iPad. So we decided to go with a foldable keyboard. Something light, something not very expensive, and something that folds together. So, when you throw it in your bag or you throw it in your purse, you're not going to screw it up or pop the keys out and such.
So we got 4 foldable keyboards from Amazon, and we're going to share what we learned from them.
Let's take a look at the first one.
The first one is a Mocha tilted keyboard. It looks like this. It has a beautiful ergonomic design that allows your wrists to rest naturally without having to kink them.
Yeah, let me explain that really quickly. So in a traditional keyboard, your hands are clustered together like this when you're typing. And as you can see, when you cluster them like this, there is a tilt in your wrist, which is fine, but after a long period of time, it gets a little bit tiresome. This keyboard very cleverly tilts both keyboards like so. So you can sit up straight, you can spread your elbows a little bit, and you can type with your wrist in a natural straight orientation.
It's made of a beautiful rubber kind of finish with very nice metal or strong plastic keys. It weighs just 140 grams, and you can find it on Amazon for $20 to $25, but it has a fatal flaw.
Yeah, the fatal flaw in this keyboard is that it doesn't recognize the key presses all of the time. If you're a really great typist and every time you press a key, you hit it directly in the center, this keyboard is going to work really well for you. But if you're a little bit off, and when I say a little bit off, I mean 1 to 2 millimeters, maybe like 2.5 millimeters off center, it just doesn't recognize that key press. It has to do with the way the domes underneath the keys are designed, the silicone domes. They're just a little bit too thin and they kind of tilt to one side or the other, and we took apart one of the keys and looked at it. Unfortunately, it's a fatal flaw for this keyboard because some of us are really great at typing, but neither one of us is, unfortunately, and this keyboard as a result is unusable.
So the bad key press recognition makes this a no-go for us. We won't be keeping this keyboard.
Which is really sad because out of all the ones we tested, this by far has the best design.
The second keyboard that we got was a jellycomb keyboard that opens up like a clam. Clam. And it has a beautiful...
Well, to be fair, they all open up like a clam.
Okay. But this one specifically has hinges that, you can't open it up in any other way but in the clam way.
It does feel very cool when it opens up.
It has a vegan faux leather exterior, what looks to be aluminum but turns out to be plastic. And it has ribbon cables that are exposed in the exterior. And so, what do you think about this keyboard?
So I love this keyboard. It has some of the best key travel out of all the keyboards we tried. The keys feel amazing. The keys feel better than most laptop keyboards from companies like HP or Dell or definitely Apple, with their new butterfly keys that feel terrible. These keys feel really good. The layout is great. The only gripe that I have about the layout is it has this tiny Y key. But I don't think Yuki had any problem with it, and I didn't. Did you have any problem with a small Y key?
I didn't have any problems with the Y key. I really love how this foldable keyboard is geared towards iOS users or Android users. A lot of the manufacturers gear these keyboards for desktop users.
For
Who would have
reasons,
known?
yeah, I have no idea why. At least two of these 4 keyboards have Windows layout with the Windows key where the Alt should be and the Alt key where the Command key should be. And again, this is not something you would use for a Windows desktop. You wouldn't use it for a Windows laptop. It's something you would use with a portable device. And who makes portable devices? It's Apple, or it's any number of the Android devices, Samsung, HTC, etc. So why would you design a foldable Windows keyboard?
It's also very light.
Yeah, this one is 156 grams.
And best of all, it's really inexpensive. It can range from $20 to $25 according to the vendor on Amazon. And it's just good. I mean, it wouldn't last forever.
It's a good basic keyboard. The one flaw for me specifically is that I predict that this keyboard is going to end up in a waste bin in about a year or so, a year and a half. And that has to do with this ribbon cable right here. When you open the keyboard, the ribbon cable bends at a very, very sharp angle. And it just unbends when you close it, and it bends again when you open it, which sounds counterintuitive, but we'll have a close-up right here so you can take a look at it. And that bending eventually is going to wear out the ribbon cable, and it's going to affect the keyboard. It's going to stop working, basically.
So you mean some of the keys will stop working?
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that online there are a lot of people complaining about the keys stopping and not working after about a year. And that has to do with this ribbon cable. Now, of course, many people can't see, under a microscope how the ribbon cable is failing, and it wouldn't fail like breaking in half. It wouldn't break in half. It would just break the little micro connections inside the ribbon cable, and that would cause some of your keys just not to work.
That's a bummer that they're not making these to last longer than a year.
I guess maybe it's planned obsolescence. I don't know. I just really hate filling up the landfills. And I really wish this keyboard was better, not better designed, but a little bit better, I guess. Yeah, I guess a little bit better designed, a little bit better implemented, because it could be a really nice keyboard for years and years.
The third foldable keyboard we got was one that I was exceptionally excited about. It's the iClever Keyboard that's backlit. It comes in this beautiful velvety pouch, and it opens up like shutters, like window shutters. Voila! It has backlights in RGB. What do you think about it?
This is a great keyboard. I mean, first of all, it's the same size when you unfold it completely. It's the same size as a standard macOS keyboard from Apple. It's the same size as the keyboard you might have on your Dell or on your HP computer. It's basically the same size as a standard size keyboard, which is really great. It unfolds in this kind of cool trifold manner, which I like, and that allows them not to have a break through the spacebar key, which is also kind of nice. And the feel of the buttons is great. Basically, it's like a laptop keyboard. It just feels like a nice high-end laptop keyboard. But unfortunately for this keyboard, the manufacturing quality of this is not really up to par.
To me, it seems like this keyboard wasn't actually made to be portable, but for some reason it is portable. It has a Windows layout, which means that they're probably gearing it towards Windows users and not Android or iOS device users. And also these hinges, they're made out of plastic, even though they look like brushed aluminum.
Yeah, and just to point out, in addition to those hinges being made out of plastic, the construction of the hinge itself is just not very good. When I was opening and closing this half of the keyboard, and I wasn't just playing with it, this was maybe like the third or the fourth time I was literally opening the keyboard, the F10 key popped out. And when the F10 key popped out, a piece of metal, this is a tiny little magnet that they use to keep the keyboard open. So that piece of metal popped out from underneath the F10 key. So the construction of the keyboard leaves something to be desired, quite honestly. And
it also doesn't sit flat on your desk. You have to open up these little feet to make it sit flat on your desk. And it's just more movable parts, which means more likeliness to fall apart at any moment.
And even if you open up the little feet on the backside, that makes the keyboard sit flat. But when you press on the edge of the keyboard, the whole thing just kind of shifts. So depending on how aggressively you're hitting that forward key or back key, or the control key on the other side, it can actually make the whole keyboard kind of dense on your desk.
Oh, you did say something interesting about the micro USB charger on this one.
Yeah, so the micro USB charger on this one not only charges the keyboard, but it can also output keyboard signal, I guess, to your computer, so you can make this into a USB keyboard, which again makes it seem like they're targeting it more towards a desktop user or desktop consumer, which again doesn't really make a hell of a lot of sense to me, because why would you have a foldable keyboard on your desk if it's a permanent station?
This keyboard is also quite heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about 286 grams, which is heavier than all of the other keyboards we've tested. And you do get something for it. The big battery on the back means that you get quite a bit of typing hours. Like this can type for 90 hours straight, which is pretty amazing. But again, that's not really a feature that you're looking for in a portable keyboard that you would throw in your bag or in your purse.
This keyboard is also $47 from the Amazon vendor we purchased it from, so it's a bit on the pricey side, and there are better options for just straight out desktop keyboards.
Yeah, you do get metal construction in the back and in the front for your money, but the hinges are plastic.
So unless you want a backlit keyboard that can fold away into your drawer, then it's really not worth buying for portability factor.
Oh, and to correct one more thing, it's about 90 hours of typing without the backlight. With backlight, it's 3 to 4 hours, just like any other keyboard.
And the last keyboard that we tested was the Microsoft Foldable Keyboard. This one actually has a lot of rave reviews online, and I was really excited to try it out. What did we think about it?
Well, I loved it. I love the exterior of the keyboard. It's kind of like this faux leather suede type of feel that Microsoft is well known for. That's what they use now on their Surface Book line of laptops, or the Surface laptops, I should say. It's the keyboard into which the most number of engineering hours went into, I think.
Yeah, I really love that this keyboard was actually targeted towards Windows, Android, and iOS device users, isn't it?
Yeah, it has these profiles at the very top right corner where you can switch between different profiles to make it either a Windows keyboard, an Android keyboard, or an iOS keyboard.
It also gives you 2 device profiles that you can use, unlike the rest of the foldable keyboards.
It allows you to hook it up to your iPhone or to an iPad or to an Android device, for instance, and an iPad. It works out really great.
I think this keyboard is the most elegant and polished of all the keyboards that we tried. Unfortunately, the key travel feels a bit shallow to me, and the letters feel a little bit cluttered. The keyboard just in itself feels a little bit cluttered. We weren't able to test it fully because we were sent a French keyboard for some strange reason, even though we ordered the English keyboard. And there were a few other problems with it, right?
Well, the shift key stopped working about, I think it just was broken to begin with. So the keyboard that we received in the mail just had a broken shift key. And I think that might be just a defect with the shift key. So we'll trade this one in and get another one and test it out. I don't think this is a fatal flaw of all keyboards. It seems like just the mechanism itself was defectively made. And other than that, Yuki pointed out that it has a bit of a cluttered feel. That's because we're probably not used to any more keyboards that are not island, or I guess they call them chiclet style keyboards, where you have some space between the keys. These ones are where the keys are butted one against the other, like on the older laptops back in the 90s and the early 2000s. But unlike those laptops, they don't have beveled edges around these keys. So as a result, it takes a little bit of time to get used to typing on this keyboard. You have to kind of get used to where the keys are, and you can't locate them as easily with your tips of your fingers.
At 180 grams, you're going to pay $75 or so for this keyboard. It's actually gone down in price over the last couple of years. It used to be $100.
I think I'm going to give this one another shot, but for now it's going back. So I think the one we're going to keep is the Jellycomb keyboard. It's not the most polished keyboard, but it is the most functional. The keys feel great. It has the Mac layout as opposed to a Windows layout. It's very inexpensive and it's very light at 156 grams. So I quite like it.
At $20 to $25, I think the Jellycomb keyboard is the best value for our money. It does everything a keyboard needs to do. If it was constructed a little bit more sturdily, or with a more sturdy design, I think I would have been happier with it.
Yeah, I'm just kind of disappointed because I do think this is going to end up in a landfill in a couple of years. But maybe in those couple of years, something even more amazing will come out. If you guys know of a keyboard that we haven't tested, that is a foldable keyboard and a Bluetooth keyboard, and something that's available right now, please let us know in the comments. We would love to take a look at it. And I hope this video was helpful to you. And please stay tuned for others.
Yeah, see you next time.
See you next time.